This is the new Mazda CX-60 and it's a very important car for Mazda because it's part of the company's new big plan. But is it any good? Should you get one? I've spent a few hundred kilometers in it and hopefully can offer some answers. But first, some backstory. The new CX-60 is part of Mazda's new large products lineup with the intention to offer more upmarket products. The lineup also includes models like the CX-70, CX-80 and 90. It's built on the company's new multi-solution scalable platform where the engine is placed longitudinally with rear-wheel drive. This new platform allows Mazda to use different powertrains from 4 to 6-cylinder engines, petrol or diesel, mild hybrid or plug-in hybrid. All this not only allows Mazda to make production more efficient, but also help them develop new products quicker. Because of how versatile the platform can be, it can offer bigger engines for those who want performance or more efficient powertrains for those who don't. It is also to comply with emission regulations of European and other markets, and this is very important. It is also to pave the way for EVs and eventually help the company be carbon neutral by 2050. In terms of size, the CX-60 sits between the CX-5 and the CX-8. Compared to the CX-5, it is longer, wider, but similar in height. Compared to the 3-row CX-8, it is smaller in every way. The CX-60 is available in Malaysia in a single variant, powered by a 2.5-litre naturally aspirated engine with rear-wheel drive. It is fully imported from Japan, priced at 200,000 ringgit. So I'm guessing you, like me, have some questions. How premium is it really? Is it better than the most expensive Mazda CX-8 in Malaysia, the 2.5-litre turbo all-wheel drive model that costs 201,000 ringgit? Is it worth paying 20,000 ringgit more for the most expensive Mazda CX-5, also 2.5 turbo all-wheel drive that starts from just 178,000 ringgit? First, hands-free powered tailgate. Premium. Keyless entry with walk-away auto lock. Premium. But only for the front two doors. Not so premium. No puddle lamps. Not so premium. Easy entry with different steering and seat adjustments for different driver profiles. Premium. 12-speaker Bose sound system. Premium. Electric steering adjustments. Definitely premium. Lumbar and thigh bolster adjustments. Premium. Dual 12-inch screens with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Premium, but you kinda expect it, don't you? Rear seat recline. Premium, but manual. Not so premium. Rear aircon vents, but you can't adjust the aircon settings like the CX-8. Not so premium. A large panoramic roof. If that's a premium feature to you, then yeah, it has one. But here's the thing, it's not just about premium features, it has to look premium. The new CX-60 was inspired by the noble toughness design concept to project strength and elegance. They also wanted the design to be instantly recognizable as a car that could have only been crafted in Japan. In that case, I think they shouldn't have removed those Asian eyes. That sleek, sharp, squinty, but beautiful Asian eyes. I think it looks a lot better from the rear with those new wide tail lights. But overall, I think it still looks a little too subtle. Some might even say underwhelming. Thank goodness it came with 20-inch wheels for a nicer stance. Can it do the SUV things like driving over water, driving on the pavement? It's not bad. Ground clearance is at 175mm, but the CX-5 185mm and the CX-8 even better at 200mm. So if you need a big Mazda to drive your big family over water very often, then the CX-8 is the better car. This rhodium white exterior color is new, joining the Soul Red Crystal and Machine Grey as the company's signature color. It was inspired by the Japanese concept of less is more and the nothingness of Zen Buddhism, creating the image of a machine focused on the dense luminosity of metal. Mazda said compared to a pearl white finish, the rhodium white has a hard shine with an even more dense particle texture to complement the CX-60's powerful but graceful form. Oh, okay. Replying to that with my layman talk, I think if the wheel arch trim was body colored, if the rims were dual tone, and if this black trim here had a little more detail like in other markets, the whole exterior of the car would pop even more. It might have longer front and rear overhangs than the CX-5, but it doesn't feel too big, and in reality, doesn't feel any harder to park. I think it's within that size where if you're upgrading from a C-segment sedan, it'll be quite easy to get used to. Overall, it doesn't look bad, but to me at least, it doesn't stand out enough, at least in this form, compared to what other markets are getting. If you're after something that looks discreet, then yeah, sure, it looks fine. But for a car that commands 200,000 ringgit from a Malaysian, I think it needs a little more wow factor. I think you'll also feel the same way inside. There's a lot of good, but is it good enough? Soft touch materials are everywhere. The buttons feel nice and clicky, and so does the rotary dial, a signature Mazda feel. There's larger armrest surface, which is always good. The 360-degree monitor with transparent view is clear even at night, although the size of the display is a little small. If that's a problem for you with the meter display, don't worry. Mazda even allows you to increase the font size. If I had problems seeing, I think I'd be more worried about looking at the road and not the meter. Anyways, I've mentioned a lot about the good stuff, all the features, but there's one thing I can't show you and you gotta feel it to appreciate it. The Mazda ergonomics. The seats are comfortable and supportive, but it's the sitting position. Everything is within reach, the touch points are just right, it's just very easy to get used to everything. The infotainment system as well. Everything is laid out clearly, it's very straightforward and easy to use. The new steering wheel feels good, but going back to my question earlier, are these all good enough? Armrest storage could be a little shallow. Maybe some would prefer the door handles in the CX-5 and the CX-8 that allows you to put things. Would they think the door trims on those SUVs also feel more premium? Should the interface be more colourful? Perhaps a little more ambient lighting? Maybe rear sunshades, like in the Mazda CX-8? Would you expect those things in a premium vehicle? I'll leave you to ponder. But in terms of space, you definitely won't be complaining. Because it has a longer wheelbase than the Mazda CX-5, there's more room back here. Noticeably more legroom. It's also wide enough to accommodate 3 adults with decent thigh support, and because the ride height isn't too high, getting in and out is not too difficult. Boot space is also quite generous. It's larger and deeper than the CX-5's 442-litre boot. What I also appreciate, the boot floor height. It's not too low, but it's not too high either. So it's not inconvenient for you to load things into the boot, especially if you're not too tall or not too fit, like me, with back pains. Mazda's new multi-solution scalable platform, which is the base for the company's new lineup of big SUVs, is very versatile. It is a shared platform between the Mazda CX-60, 70, 80 and 90 and is able to accommodate different types of engines. The engines are placed longitudinally with rear-wheel drive for good weight distribution. As a result, it is not only nicer to drive, but feels premium and refined, as Mazda wants this new lineup of big SUVs to compete in the European market. If you buy a Mazda, in this case a Mazda SUV, because your friends or family said it's a nice car to drive, it's a good car, then you probably won't notice much. But if you buy a Mazda because you appreciate how it drives, then you'll definitely appreciate this, because they've leveled up. The handling and the stability of this thing, even the driving pleasure, is comparable to German SUVs. It really reminds me of driving the BMW X3. To some extent because of how composed it feels, how much control you feel behind the wheel, the confidence it gives you. doesn't feel like driving an SUV, more like a big sedan. Here's the thing, it may feel more composed and stable compared to the CX-5 and CX-8, but it has come at a small price. It might be really nice to drive with a lot less body roll and movement, but there's a slight compromise. It feels noticeably firmer than both the SUVs. Definitely not uncomfortable, just a little busier. Like I said again, it reminds me a lot of driving or being inside the BMW X3 with its firmer suspension. The ride now feels more like a Conti car than a typical Japanese car. Cabin insulation is good, it's very quiet in here, and to sum up how it feels to drive and ride against the CX-5 and CX-8, I'd say it's sharper and feels more direct to drive than the CX-5, and it's more stable than the CX-8, but it's not as refined. In that sense, I think the driving experience of the CX-8 still feels a little more refined than plush. With the new platform, Mazda's new lineup of big SUVs can now be fitted with either 2.5-litre 4-cylinder engines, 3.3-litre 6-cylinder engines, there's turbocharged engines, mild hybrid, plug-in hybrid, and even diesel. In Malaysia, the larger 6-seater CX-80 PHEV gets a 2.5-litre 4-cylinder engine with an electric motor and a battery you can charge, allowing you to drive around 60 kilometers on electric power alone. In this CX-60, you get a simpler 2.5-litre naturally aspirated 4-cylinder engine with 191 horsepower and 261 Nm of torque. I won't say it's underpowered, but for a car like this, it should feel more effortless. There's power, and at lower speeds, the acceleration feels smooth, but at higher speeds, you gotta keep your right foot planted and really push the engine. I think most would think that there's enough power, but for the heavy footers, those who love to rev their engines, or those coming from the turbo CX-5, they might think that this is not enough. Personally, for a car to feel premium, it not only needs to be pleasing to the eye, feels nice to the touch, but in the driving sense, the acceleration needs to feel effortless. Just tap on the throttle and the car whooshes away. What a shock! The new generation of big Mazda SUVs also come with a new 8-speed automatic gearbox that replaces the traditional torque converter with multi-plate clutches and planetary gears. What you need to know is that it makes power transfer more direct for more responsive acceleration and quicker, smoother gear shifts. When you're using the gear shift pedals, whether to up or downshift, the gear changes feel a lot faster than before. But when you're driving in automatic, at lower speeds, in certain stop-go traffic, the gearbox in the CX-5 and CX-8 feels just a little smoother. From a standstill, I think the gearbox needs to be more responsive. I also think that it needs to react quicker at highway speeds. Say you're doing between 80 to 100 kilometers an hour on the highway, in the middle lane, you want to merge into the overtaking lane, so you want to pick up some speed. I think the gearbox needs to react a little faster and downshift a little quicker. I strongly believe those who spend 200,000 ringgit on a car not only expects a premium feel, but there's also a certain performance expectation. After spending a few hundred kilometers with it, that, my friends, is the only slight shortcoming that I can point out in the entire driving experience. It is otherwise a really solid car to drive with a very functional interior. It's easy to use, quick to familiarize with, nothing odd about it. Sure, some might say it could look a little more exciting inside and out, and perhaps Mazda should offer more powerful engines for this CX-60, but then it'll likely cost more than 200,000 ringgit. Then how? Going back to my initial questions, does it feel premium? Despite everything, I'd still say yes. It might not wow you so much at the start, but once you start using it, you'll still feel it from the refinement, the touch points, the convenience and practicality. Is it better than the CX-8? This one handles better, feels more composed, and again, in my opinion, doesn't feel as refined. And obviously doesn't offer as many seats. Is it worth paying more than the most expensive, powerful CX-5? There's more space, the cabin is quieter, you get some new tech, and in terms of overall refinement, this one is better. Reasons to get this over the CX-5 and CX-8? Maybe you want the latest Mazda with some new toys and tech, because let's face it, the CX-5 and CX-8 has been around for a while. Maybe you don't want something as big as the CX-8 and you're looking for something that's more spacious, more refined and arguably more fun to drive than the CX-5. If none of those appeal to you and you prefer the look and feel of other Mazda SUVs, no harm in that as well. I personally believe that the current range of Mazda SUVs, including the CX-5 that was released in 2017, has been developed to such a high standard that they are still relevant and competitive to this day. For more information on the new Mazda CX-60, log on to AutoBuzz.my. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, share it, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also, don't forget to hit the bell icon for notifications on our newest videos.